Good afternoon, students. Am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mute yourself. So yesterday we started with the endocrinal diseases. Okay. Endocrinal disorders like hyperthyroidism and then hypothyroidism, the various diseases included in hyperthyroidism. That part we are going to discuss today. Before that, just we will revise our thyroid gland. So the disease we started is hyperthyroidism. Okay, hyperthyroidism and Graves. Today we are going to discuss about Graves disease. Here, this pathological conditions are involved in the hyperthyroidism, that is myxedema, exophthalmos, and toxic multinodular goiter. Now, this is overactive thyroid. We seen this picture yesterday. Hyperthyroidism, picture with hyperthyroidism, picture of healthy person. So hyperthyroidism, this particular entity we call it as exophthalmos, which get cured when the medicine or the levels of thyroid hormone becomes normal. It will again become like this. Okay, the eyes. It is not a permanent change. They can change whenever the hormonal level or this imbalance will get corrected. That is, of course, by medicines, homeopathic or allopathic. Then hyperthyroidism. What are the symptoms we discussed? Intolerance of heat, fine straight hair, bulging of eyes, that is exophthalmos, facial flushing, enlarged thyroid, tachycardia, increased systolic blood pressure, breast enlargement, weight loss. What is the characteristic of weight loss we discussed yesterday? Yes? What is the characteristic of this weight loss?
High BSA.
No, no.
Weight loss due to increasement of BMR,
Yes, right.
and appetite is not increased, but
Yes,
still weight
yes,
loss is
yes,
there.
yes, right. Very good. So because it is because of increased BMI, and also the second factor of weight loss is there is no although there is increased appetite, there is weight loss. Okay, so although the patient is eating more, as appetite is increased, but there is weight loss. It is the characteristic thing. Then muscle wasting, localized edema is there, menstrual changes, that is amenorrhea, tremors, increase the stool frequency, that is loose stools, diarrhea, and finger clubbing. Okay, so these are all the symptoms of hyperthyroidism that we discussed yesterday. The same feature. Here, the mental symptoms are also involved, that is depression, lassitude. Then that particular person could not concentrate. Okay, irritability increases. All this depression, all these things, they are associated with hyperthyroidism. Then goiter, hair loss, muscular pain, trembling hands, infertility, amenorrhea, that is menstrual in the menstrual symptoms. Okay, so today we are going to discuss about thyroid hyperfunction. Okay, that is Graves disease. See, you can see in this slide, there is bulging of eyes, that is exophthalmos, and diffuse goiter, enlarged thyroid. This is the enlarged thyroid gland. You can see in this picture. Okay, so Graves disease is an immune disorder that results from overproduction of thyroid hormones. Okay, overproduction of thyroid hormones. Thyroid hormones affect many body systems. Thus, Graves disease can be wide-ranging and can influence overall health. Okay, it gives rise to influence on various systems. So, overall health get disturbed. Graves disease is most common among the women under 40 years of age. Okay, it is very much common in that particular age group. So in this picture again, see, there are antibodies, they get attached on the thyroid cells with the receptors. Okay, that is antibody stimulates the receptors. There is overproduction of the hormone which gives rise to anxiety, tremor, goiter, bulging of eyes, fatigueness, thick and red skin, flushed skin, rapid and irregular heartbeat. That is, what is the terminology we use for irregular heartbeat? Yes, yesterday I told you.
Arrhythmia.
Arrhythmia. Arrhythmia appears. Which type of arrhythmia? Yes. Which type of arrhythmia?
Cardiomegaly.
Cardiomegaly is not arrhythmia. I am asking you which type of arrhythmia? Which type of arrhythmia appears in hyperthyroidism? So, which type of arrhythmia? Yes. Yes, which is this?
Tachycardia.
It is not arrhythmia.
Cardiac,
Heartbeat.
cardiac arrhythmia,
Which type of atrial fibrillation? It is called as
cardiac arrhythmia,
atrial fibrillation. It is called arrhythmia.
older people,
Common in which age group? It is common
older,
in older age group. Yes, right.
yes ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So there are triad of clinical findings. Okay. There are triad of clinical findings in this Graves' disease. So Graves' disease, it is a disease characterized by violent and long continued palpitation in the female associated with enlarged thyroid gland. So this disease is get characterized by increased heart rate. There is palpitations, long and continued palpitations. They are violent, especially in the women below the age of 40 years, and it is associated with enlarged thyroid gland. Okay. Now we will see what is the triad of, if you want to write, you can write also. Okay. If it is not given in the slide, you can write down simultaneously. So triad of the symptoms, triad of clinical findings, okay, associated with Graves' disease. The first is hyperthyroidism, which is because of hyperfunctional and diffuse enlargement of thyroid. The first is hyperthyroidism. It is due to hyperfunctional and diffuse enlargement of thyroid. Second clinical finding is infiltrative ophthalmopathy. Infiltrative ophthalmopathy. And third clinical finding is localized dermopathy. That is pretibial myxedema. We call it as pretibial myxedema. That is edema in the tibial region. Okay. And the peak incidence of these conditions, these are the clinical findings we can see in the age group, particularly 20 and 40, between 20 and 40, and in women more than males. Okay, so these are the triad of clinical findings of hyperthyroidism, that is thyroid hyperfunction in the Graves' disease. The first is hyperfunctional and diffuse enlargement of thyroid gland. We call it as goiter. Okay. Then second, infiltrative ophthalmopathy. We call it as, it is associated with exophthalmos. This infiltrative ophthalmopathy, it is associated with exophthalmos. And third is localized dermopathy, that is pretibial myxedema. Okay. Now, next part is of pathogenesis. Next part is of pathogenesis. In this slide, you can see etiology, pathogenesis, and pathology. stimulating autoantibodies, Graves disease. Okay, here this word autoantibodies, it is very, very important associated in Graves disease. Here you can see this TSH, it get attached with TSH receptors, stimulates the hormone synthesis, okay, in thyroid cells. So there is regulated production of thyroid hormone, that is T3, T4. It is normal condition, okay. And whenever these hormones get releases, there is negative feedback, that is on pituitary gland, and there is decrease of TSH, okay. So this or TSH get inhibited, okay. So this is the negative feedback control normally seen, okay. But here what happens, what exactly happens in Graves disease? These autoantibodies to receptors, they get attached, autoantibodies. You can see these antibodies, no? Here there is TSH hormone which stimulates the production of thyroid hormone, but here the autoantibodies get attached with that receptors. They stimulate hormone synthesis in large amount. So here we can see the production of T3 and T4 in large amount. We call it as unregulated overproduction of thyroid hormone. Okay. Okay. So pathogenesis we will discuss in detail. Okay. So it is basically autoimmune disorder. It is basically an autoimmune disorder. There is variety of antibodies may present in the serum. That is antibodies to TSH receptors, then thyroid peroxisomes and thyroglobulin. These antibodies, they are of TSH receptors, thyroid peroxisomes, and thyroglobulin. Okay. Now first autoantibody. You can write simultaneously. First the name of autoantibody. It is not given in that slides, but write down the name of autoantibody. The first is thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. It is thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. Okay. This is the name of autoantibody. In short, it is known as TSI. Could you able to hear me? Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Light here, they are gone. Okay. So thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. Okay. The first autoantibody, we call it as thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. In bracket, write down TSI. Okay, so what happens? This IgG antibodies that binds to TSH receptors. IgG antibody that binds to TSH receptors and mimics the action of TSH. It mimics the action of TSH. See here, it is written. Okay. So basically, autoantibody, it is a IgG type. It mimics the action of TSH and stimulating increased release of thyroid hormone. In this back slide, in the back side, you can see in the previous slide, you can see that this TSH, but on the receptors, this autoantibodies, they get attached, that is IgG antibodies, and they mimics the action of this TSH and stimulate increased release of thyroid hormone. What is the name of that autoantibody? Thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin. Which immunoglobulin? IgG type. But it is autoantibodies. This immunoglobulin could not recognize. Why we call them as autoantibodies? Because they could not recognize as self protein and non-self protein. Okay. So their ability to recognize self and non-self gives rise to this disease process. Okay. They destroy these receptors, they destroy the specific action of TSH. They mimics the action of TSH, these autoantibodies. The regular action is gets, they mimics the action, okay, and they causes the more release of thyroid hormones. Okay. Now second one. Is there is any query with this first one? If anybody wants to repeat this section, first section, first type. Yes? No need, no? So
Ma'am, your voice is breaking.
voice is breaking. Why? Your internet connection is not proper now? Now you could able to hear me? Yes? Yes? You can hear me? Okay. So we will go towards next immunoglobulin. It is thyroid growth stimulating immunoglobulin. Second one is, am I audible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So second one is thyroid growth stimulating immunoglobulin, TGI. Thyroid growth stimulating immunoglobulin. It also directed against the TSH receptor. This particular immunoglobulin, that is, we also call it them as autoantibodies. Okay. So this thyroid growth stimulating immunoglobulin, TGI, this also get directed against the TSH receptor and also causes proliferation of thyroid follicular epithelium. So they get directed against TSH receptors and also causes proliferation of thyroid follicular epithelium. So there is hyperplasia of thyroid gland, and the size of thyroid gland will going to increase slowly because of this activation of TGI, that is thyroid growth stimulating immunoglobulin. Okay, so this is TGI auto antibodies. Okay, now third is TSH binding inhibitor immunoglobulin. TSH binding inhibitor immunoglobulin. So they prevents the TSH from binding normally to its receptor. These autoantibodies, they prevents the TSH from binding normally to its receptor on thyroid epithelial cells. Okay. See, this normally this TSH binds with this receptors, but what happens with this autoantibody? Again, the same picture. These autoantibodies, they get attached or they inhibits. Either these autoantibodies get attached like type 1, okay, IgG immunoglobulin get attached. These are nothing but autoantibodies. They destroy the cell. They mimics the action. They inhibits the action. Okay. So this is how this autoantibodies they act, or they give rise to disturbance in normal physiology. Okay. So this here what happens? This TSH binding inhibitor immunoglobulin, they prevents TSH here at this site. They prevents TSH from binding normally to its receptor on thyroid epithelial cells, and they causes or they mimics the action of TSH, resulting in stimulation of thyroid epithelial cell activity. Okay, they stimulates the thyroid epithelial cell activity, that is release of this thyroid hormone. It is nothing but the release of thyroid hormone. Understood about this pathogenesis? How this particular three type of autoantibodies they present and what are their action. Now here see, you can see in this slide altogether B cells, they stimulates plasma cell to produce antibodies immobilizing antigen. They immobilize the antigen. The immune system produces autoantibodies called as thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin, TSI, attached to the thyroid cell. It gives rise to this TSI mimics the action of the thyroid gland, or TSH, and this TSI binds to TSH receptors. the thyroid gland stimulates to produce excess amounts of thyroid hormone. Okay, so this always happens in autoimmune disorder. Okay, autoimmune, because of autoimmune disorder, this autoantibodies they produces and they causes harm to the thyroid cells, thyroid epithelial cells. So I will repeat again the names of this autoantibodies, because there are varieties of antibodies they present in the serum. Okay, so these antibodies they act against the TSH receptor, then thyroid peroxisomes and thyroglobulin. So first is thyroid stimulating immunoglobulin, TSI. This IgG type of antibody, it binds to TSH receptor and mimics the action of TSH, stimulating increase in the thyroid hormone, or they causes increased release of thyroid hormones. So there is more and more number of T3 and T4, okay, releases. Second type of autoantibody, that is thyroid. Yes, which was the second?
Thyroid growth
Thyroid growth
stimulating
stimulating
immunoglobulin.
immunoglobulin.
TGI. It is directed against the TSH receptor
TSH receptor.
and causes proliferation of thyroid follicular.
Follicular epithelium.
Okay, so it causes the growth. It causes hyperplasia. It causes increase in the size of thyroid gland. So goitrous enlargement occurs in that particular region. The third one is, yes, what was the third one?
TSH binding inhibitor immunoglobulin.
Immunoglobulin, yes. You can say immunoglobulin, or you can say in bracket autoantibody. Okay, TSH binding inhibitor autoantibody, or TSH binding inhibitor immunoglobulin. They prevent TSH from binding normally to its receptor. Okay, this TSH could not get bind to the receptors on the thyroid epithelial cells. So the action of TSH get mimics, resulting in stimulation of thyroid epithelial cell activity. Okay, so understood? Understood this pathogenesis? Okay. So these are the Graves' disease symptoms we discussed already. In the hyperthyroidism, that is, there is exophthalmos, then there is goiter, there are arrhythmias and tachycardia, then there is nausea, diarrhea, then oligoamenorrhea in female, muscular weakness is there, tremors, then headache, weight loss, nervousness, emotional instability is there, and it is associated with sweating. Okay, heat intolerance, sweating. So all of these are the symptoms of Graves' disease. Okay. Now, the next pathogenesis that we are going to discuss is toxic nodular goiter. It is about toxic nodular goiter. Before that, we will just revise our symptoms. That is clinical signs. First of all, you can see here exophthalmos, prominence of thyroid gland, prominent, it become prominent, BMR get raised, then skin become warm, sweaty, heat intolerance. Okay, then weakness, hyperkinesia, emotional instability, then weight loss. The next one is, it is not written over here. The next one is glucose intolerance is get diminished. So there is glycosuria. This, what is glycosuria?
Increase
Glucose in the urine.
Yes, glucose in the urine. Glucose starts appearing in the urine because of glucose intolerance. Now, all of you must acquainted with this particular terminologies, because in our college, you first, I think, learned the diabetes. before any other disease. Am I correct?
Yes.
Am I correct? Yes, my dear students.
Yes,
Because
yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
ma'am.
diabetes is only discussed in seminars by Dr. our respected Dr. Kansasar. So you must
Yes,
have
ma'am.
heard this word, glucose intolerance. Okay. So glucose intolerance is get diminished here. So there is glycosuria. The next one is rapid pulse, that is tachycardia. Then cardiac arrhythmias, that is atrial fibrillation, and CCF in older patients, congestive cardiac failure. Okay. And the last one is the TSH becomes, yes, it is low or high, TSH?
Low.
Yes, it becomes lower side. Okay, so these are all symptoms you can add in this particular slide, these symptoms, which it is not given in the slide, that is increased glucose intolerance. Okay, so these are the symptoms of our Graves disease. Okay, here this also in this slide you can see the CD4 helper T cells, they get stimulates the B cell by this interleukin 2 and interferon, gamma interferon. Okay, interleukin 2 and gamma interferon, these are the chemoreceptors which stimulates the B cell to release the antibodies. Okay, so these antibodies, they causes orbital fibroblast and adipocytes. There is accumulation of glycoaminoglycans and there is expansion of orbital muscles. Why there is a exophthalmos? Exophthalmos, the reason of exophthalmos is this. These antibodies, they act against the orbital fibroblast and adipocytes. So there is accumulation of glycoaminoglycans and there will be expansion of orbital muscles. Now this skin fibroblasts, this gives rise to dermopathy. This gives rise to dermopathy. Okay. So this slide is remained to discuss today. Okay. Now we will go towards next topic. Okay. Our next topic is toxic nodular goiter. Toxic nodular goiter. In the previous slide, yes, it is the goiterous enlargement. You can see this enlargement of thyroid gland. We call it as a goiter. Okay. So this toxic nodular goiter, this develops in the same cases of non-toxic nodular goiter. So some cases of non-toxic nodular goiter, this toxic, they get converted into toxic nodular goiter. Okay. The nodules of hyperplasia with inactive tissues. The tissues they become inactive in that case. These tissues of thyroid gland, these tissues of thyroid gland, they get inactivated. So this condition is very much common over the age of 50, toxic nodular goiter. Okay. Before going towards our next pathologies of this hyperfunction of thyroid, we are learning thyroid hyperfunction. In that, we first discussed about Graves disease. Okay, this Graves disease. Then we are going to discuss later on is toxic nodular goiter, and then non-toxic goiter. Okay. So, any query related to this Graves disease? Is there is any query?
No, ma'am.
Pathology, pathogenesis, what exactly happens that we all, this all things we discussed today with this Graves disease. In all the conditions that is in Graves disease and also toxic or non-toxic goiters, the symptoms are similar, like, okay. In some cases, in some conditions, there is pains that person can feel at the thyroid region. whenever any toxic in the toxic conditions, but not non-toxic nodular goiter, it is always symptomless. It will not gives any pressure effects or pressure symptoms. Okay, if it get enlarges more, then only it gives rise to the pressure symptoms or pressure effects. Okay, on tachycardia or on this what is this area? Yes, respiration. For respiration, what we call it as, which is seen behind the thyroid gland. Yes,
Trachea.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, trachea. So there is trachea get compressed. Okay, this trachea get compressed and it gives you the pressure effects. Okay, so it is again differ in toxic nodular goiter or non-toxic nodular goiter. So what happens in toxic nodular goiter? This develops in some cases of non-toxic nodular goiter. This nodules of hyperplasia, it is associated with inactive tissues. The tissues remain inactive. They could not get response to the antibodies, receptors and antibodies. There is no production of any receptors and there will be no antibodies, they get attached. Okay, this condition is common over the age of 50. Here in that case, whenever the nodular enlargement is toxic, the exophthalmos is absent. In this particular condition, exophthalmos is absent, and there is the other symptoms are cardiac arrhythmias and failure. It is very much common in this particular condition. Okay, so now as the time limit it is ending with this meeting, I'm going to close this meeting, and in few minutes I'm going to again call the next meeting. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now there are 29 students only for this meeting. We will see for next meeting how many of you remains. I'm going to close this meeting. Huh? In few minutes, stay here. In few minutes, I'm going to again call the meeting.